Welcome to another satisfying movie recap about the film Before I'm Dead. Let's begin.
The story opens with a train passing by as Carla Cruz wakes up from her sleep. Her husband, Nolan, is plagued by a recurring nightmare in which a man is firing at him, causing him to wake up in a panic. He begins his day by having tea and working on his laptop while a movie plays on TV. However, a bright light suddenly descends from the sky and there is a loud explosion. The room shakes, causing Nolan to fall to the floor. Nolan and Carla are sitting in a hotel talking. Nolan said to his wife that she spends all day reading the emails. She replied that she was tired of her job and now she wants to leave the job and will sing songs again. Meanwhile, a person enters the hotel and takes out a gun from his bag. Nolan is watching him carefully. Nolan is talking to Diane, therapist, on a video call. Nolan asks her why he should leave his home when he can find food, entertainment, and employment here. Diane asks him if he is still imagining Carla. Nolan replies, "Yes, I am still imagining her." She asked him if he talked to any other person. He told her that he did not want anyone to see him in this position and that last night's earthquake disturbed him. Diane saw him astonishingly and said, "What an earthquake? You should have to do some work." Diana asked Nolan if he had solved the puzzle. He replied that this puzzle was Carla's gift when they both met the first time. Diana told him that he can solve the puzzle only one time a day. Suddenly Nolan saw a strange thing on the floor and picked it up. Nolan started to recite mantras near the window. He tried to open the window and suddenly the door knocked. He opened the door and saw a delivery boy standing there. Nolan asked him to put the bag on the ground. Nolan drops to his knees and drags his bag into the room. Nolan was talking to her mother Grace on call. Her mother asked her why he is not visiting her. She will pay for her tickets. Nolan refused to go. Nolan told her mother that Diane told him that he is fine now. His mother replied to him that she is okay with him being shut like this. Nolan replied it is a need now. Grace told him that you were shot at and he had been in the apartment for the whole 2 months. Then she asked him if he needed money, but he replied no. Carla stands in front of Nolan saying that Grace wants to help him because she is worried about him. Nolan replied, "I know she wants to help me." Carla asked Nolan to let Grace or anyone come to visit here. Nolan replied that he doesn't want anyone to know about his issues. Carla told him that it was truly out of the ordinary. Nolan replied that he is fully aware of that. Nolan was solving the puzzle on the table and Carla was writing something laying on the couch. The neighbor was hitting on their floor and saying them to be quiet. Nolan and Carla looked towards the floor as they both were quiet at that time. Nolan chanted mantras near the window. A spirit was standing behind him, which was moving toward him step by step as Nolan chanted mantras, and suddenly the spirit disappears. Nolan stopped chanting mantras. Nolan and Carla both were watching a movie lying on the couch. Nolan said it's so quiet. Carla asked him to sing a song, but he refused. She asked her why they were watching a movie. Nolan replied that it was the first Christmas Carol on film made in the silent era. Carla asked Nolan to call his friends, but he doesn't remember them. Carla tried to remind Nolan about his friends. Carla requested Nolan to make a call to them for her, but Nolan asked her why she wanted him to call them. Carla said that just asked about themselves. Nolan made a call to his friends, but they didn't pick up the call, so he left a message for them. After the call, Nolan said to her that it was so awkward. "Don't make him do that again." Carla was laughing. Then he started watching photos and videos of Carla and him on his phone. After that, he passed his time by lying on the floor, solving the puzzle, reading papers, and sleeping on the couch. He received a message from Ivy on his phone. Nolan thinks that she was the last person he wanted to talk to. He wanted to take pictures of that paper which he was reading. He opened his mobile camera to take a picture, but that paper was not shown on the camera. He was shocked to see this. He tried to take the picture from different angles, but could not work. He think he was going crazy. Then he tried to see his house with the help of a mobile camera. He saw blood on the wall. Meanwhile, Carla asked him about his behavior. Nolan replied that he think he was losing his mind. Carla replied that he should eat something. His brain was not working because of an empty stomach. Nolan replied that his stomach was not empty. Carla replied that alcohol didn't fill the stomach. Nolan went into the kitchen. Nolan takes his medicine. Carla asked if he remembered when she come to his place first time. He had nothing in the fridge and he offered her boiled eggs. Nolan was cleaning the ground. He was quiet. Carla was still talking about her first visit. She came to his other side in the kitchen and said that he was deprived of sleep. Nolan replied that she think he had only a lack of sleep. Carla said that he was going crazy. Nolan was standing in the kitchen, and his neighbor again asks him to be quiet. He knocks at the door. Nolan opens the door. Otis said to Nolan that they were making noise and he is calling the police. Nolan replied that he lived there alone. Otis said it sounds like a rush and multiple footsteps etc. up here. Nolan locks his door and checks the wall with his mobile C's camera to know the blood marks were disappeared. Nolan was listening to the antidepressant and motivational lecture laying on the bed. His neighbor again told him to be quiet. Nolan gets up from the bed and goes to the lounge. When he reached the door, suddenly a lady was walking behind him and went toward the kitchen. After that, she disappeared. Nolan was cooking food in the kitchen. His room door vibrates strongly. His friend Eddie called him and told him the new court date. Nolan replied that it is too soon and I am not ready. Eddie forces him to come and told him that the jury wanted to see him. He also said that you act like you are the only victim. Nolan replied to him, don't tell me about losing loved ones. Eddie said sorry and asked him about her disease, but Nolan cut the phone.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thanks. Now back to the recap.
Otis knocked at the door. Nolan opened the door. Otis said that he wanted to talk with him. Nolan said that he had already told him that he was living alone and he only cooks food and makes some calls. Otis replied that he was visiting for the first time. Nolan closed the door. Carla asked him what happened. He replied hopefully it was just a misunderstanding. Suddenly, the bathroom's light started blinking. He opened his mobile camera and saw through it. He saw a dead body in the bathtub. He was in shock when he saw it was his own dead body. Nolan called Diana and told her about the dead body. Diana asked him to check the body again. Nolan checked the bathroom. He was frightened and his phone dropped from his hand and disappeared. He had put a knife in his pocket. Lionel came to his door. He opened the door and told him about the dead body in the bathroom. Lionel opened the bathroom door and entered there, and suddenly he disappeared. Nolan opened the door, and at that time Otis saw his duplicate at the stairs going towards his apartment. Nolan opened the bathroom door and saw his 1-year-old duplicate. The second time opens the door, he saw 19 years ago a lady washing his face. The third time the range increased to 543 years ago. Suddenly Otis grabbed Nolan's shoulder. He said to Nolan to call 911, but Nolan has no phone. Nolan got out of the apartment and came back from the stairs. Nolan dragged Otis into the bathroom. He turned on the light and Otis disappeared. Nolan came out of the bathroom. He saw a man sleeping on his bed and the movie was playing on the TV. He came near the TV. Everything was scattered in the room and it was raining outside. Nolan's puzzle was solved. Suddenly someone hit him on the head from behind. A lady was crying, calling for help. Nolan drags himself onto the ground and approaches Carla. Nolan was tied to the chair and his duplicate was eating boiled eggs on the dining table. He asked his duplicate why he tied him up. His duplicate replied to him, why did he force him to tie him up? Why was he in his home? Nolan replied that it was his home and set him free. The duplicate angrily welcomed him and said he was not a stranger. Nolan duplicate kept on talking that he shocked him a few summers before. But that's when he realized he was not a ghost. Nolan was scared. Duplicate Nolan said, don't make sense of it. He already knew what he need to know. Time and space have collapsed within this marvelous shithole and the only way out is through the bathroom. Nolan said to him that allows him to go back. Duplicate replied that he can just use the bathroom for time travel. The duplicate told him that it was blocked due to toilet paper. Nolan was in shock. Nolan said that how would he know what was going on? Nolan is struggling to set himself self-free. Duplicate told him that the world is hell, but Nolan said that was not. Duplicate said this is an endless mystery, everything has an end. Nolan said let me free and give the answers to my questions. Duplicate said to Nolan that we were lucky because we have not died in the shooting. Duplicate went into the kitchen and poured tea into 2 cups. He was still talking. He said that 108 million people are living on our planet. It seems there are a lot of people, but they are nothing near infinite. He put the cups on the table and untied Nolan. They both are drinking tea. Suddenly the duplicate coughs and falls from the chair. Nolan also starts coughing and blood comes from his mouth. Time goes back again, clock moves anti-clockwise. Nolan saw the same things again. This repeats again and again. In the hotel, Carla said to Nolan that if he takes one more sip of tea she would hear him. Nolan is imaging Carla. Nolan said that he didn't want to watch the movie, but she asked him, so he watched it. Nolan was thinking that he was trapped in a chasm in time. He had this conversation with the Hendrix of time. Nolan unties him and moves toward the door. The duplicate said, I feel I am standing in the desert and a storm is coming. I feel very heavy weights on my shoulders. I realize that these are all regards all the time I did not act and all painful memories. Then I see Carla having feeling for me. I cannot join her because I could not tear my weight out. He went into the bath and turned the light on and off. He saw that the duplicate was dead on the floor. 18 days ago, it was raining and Nolan and Carla were talking in the hotel. Carla asked about their reason to come again to this hotel. Nolan replied that he did not know and probably he could not save you and other people. What if he fights with the man and takes his gun? Carla said to him, what if he had flowers in his bag or some other else? You did not know what he was hiding in his bag and he cannot stop this. Nolan said that it was not a movie that would have a happy ending. Carla replied that everyone deserves a happy ending. You have to get out of this place. Nolan kissed Carla. Nolan was thinking about his endless memories. He gets up from the floor and went straight into the bath and saw the mirror. He opened the bath door and saw the universe. He was also imagining different memories of Carla. He was sitting on the bed and talking about sushi. He finds Carla's keys and gives her. They both talk about decorating the home, then Carla leaves for her office. Nolan called Ivy and said that he was calling because he missed her. He asked if he could not see her again. She replied, why not? He told her that it is getting serious. She said to him to meet her after the office. His duplicate hits on his head and puts his boy in the bathtub. Duplicate picks up his phone again. An earthquake hits the room. The duplicate went on the terrace. Carla was calling Nolan. The movie ends on Carla's call.
Thanks for watching another satisfying recap. See you on the next video.